If you feel like your e-commerce business is running your life, you're replying to emails during dinner, you're chasing suppliers all hours of the day, you're never truly switching off, it's probably because you're still doing everything yourself. And the reason you can't scale without burning out is because you are the bottleneck. The fix to all this is virtual assistants or VAs. Now, I know you've probably heard this before, but most people get this wrong because they hire too late or they hire without a system, and it ends up creating more chaos. So in this video, I'll walk you through the exact 8 steps I use to hire VAs who now run my business for me so I can scale stress-free. Let's get into it. My name is James Erdley, and I've generated over £1.3 million with my first e-commerce business, and the reason I've been able to do that is because I've been able to step away from the day-to-day tasks. I've hired VAs, and straight away in the first 2 months after hiring my first virtual assistant, I tripled my e-commerce revenue, and I actually worked 10 times less. I was no longer taking customer phone calls, I wasn't the bottleneck, I wasn't replying to every email manually, and it allowed me to build a business that works for me, and I want to be able to do the same for you now. So I've laid out all these steps in this nice Miro board. So step 1, first of all, we need to identify what to outsource. You can't outsource something if you don't know what it is you are going to outsource in the first place. So the best way to do this is to start getting really intentional about the work that you're doing as the owner of the business, and start putting every task through the filter of should this be done by a business owner. So look at your to-do list, look at your calendar, look at any notes that you write down, and if you don't write any notes or you don't have a to-do list, start writing down the tasks that you're doing and have a close eye over those tasks. And ask yourself these 2 questions. Firstly, what do you repeat daily that doesn't grow the business? Are there tasks like responding to emails yourself that clearly doesn't grow the business because you're just answering one email at a time? And then ask yourself another question. What would break if you stopped doing it? Where are you completely reliant upon? So your business needs you on certain tasks. And if you haven't created an SOP, or if you wouldn't be able to give it to somebody else, what would those tasks be where it would break your business if you weren't there? These are the first tasks that we're going to be looking to outsource. So look at the task list, ask yourself these 2 questions. These tasks will now get to the top of the list because you can clearly see the ones that don't grow the business and the ones that would break if you stopped doing it, and we're going to outsource these tasks. And the realization is, ultimately as the business owner, what you should be doing is either overseeing the operations of the business or getting more sales and growing the business. Everything else should be given away so that you can focus on doing those things. And what you'll come to realize is, if you haven't already, the very first thing in e-commerce that we need to hand off is customer service. As the business owner, we shouldn't be taking calls, we shouldn't be answering live chats or those sort of things. And I know business owners that still do this, but we are not going to be in that position because we want to focus on growing the business rather than answering customer calls. You wouldn't expect, if you called up McDonald's today and you had a complaint to make, you wouldn't expect the CEO of McDonald's to answer. And it's the same thing with our business. We need to approach it like a CEO rather than the operator within that business. Now, your next question, now that you know what to outsource, is probably, when is the right time to do this? Because maybe you don't feel ready. And for a long time, I didn't feel ready to hire, but it was one of the biggest mistakes I made was that I didn't hire sooner. So the rule is, don't wait until you're desperate. Now, there's a common myth that I think goes around that says hire when it hurts. However, I don't think we should get ourselves to the point where it hurts so much when it comes to virtual assistants. Maybe that saying is true when it comes to really high-paying, high-powered positions in your company. But with virtual assistants, it's so crucial that we hand off these day-to-day tasks to allow us to grow the business. I don't think we should wait until it hurts. If it hurts, it means that we're stressed out, we're burnt out, we're overwhelmed, and we'll be leaving money on the table because we'll be not able to answer all the calls from customers or not able to give them a great experience. From my journey, I went about my first year in my e-commerce business, just under. I generated £250,000 in sales in my first year of my business, but I still hadn't hired a VA. And I was still answering all calls, and I was still processing all orders and asking customers and being the middleman for every order. And it really got to me to a point where I was starting to miss out on phone calls. I was starting to drop the ball in terms of customer experience. I was getting more complaints or bad feedback. And the reason was that I couldn't handle it. So I needed to hire sooner. And then what I did was hire my first virtual assistant. And I went from doing everything myself to burnout. And then eventually I got to relief from getting support in. I hired a virtual assistant. I was able to then increase my ad spend because I knew it would be handled, the extra orders, and I tripled my revenue within 2 months of hiring that virtual assistant. So an incredible move. And when I made more money, I actually worked less on the day-to-day tasks. I was actually working on the things that I knew would grow the business. So don't wait until you're desperate. The common consensus that I follow is the right time to hire a VA. You do need to be able to afford 2 VAs before you can hire one. So you might expect, let's say, £500 for a customer service VA for the whole month. If you are generating £1,000 in net profit, then at that point you can definitely afford your first virtual assistant. So bear that in mind. Hire before burnout. It's for growth. It's not a luxury. It's not something that is nice to have. It's something you need to do to get to the next level. So now that you know what to outsource and you know when is the right time for you, which I hope you realise is very soon, we now need to go ahead and create a job post that's going to attract A players, because you can create a job post that brings in loads of time wasters, and you can have 200 applicants to a poor quality job post, and none of those people would be the right people to hire. So it's super important that we have a job post that actually attracts the cream of the crop straight away, so that we are just choosing between very qualified potential virtual assistants. So the way that I do this is I have my own job post now. I've got a template that I can send to you. If you send me a DM on Instagram, more than happy to send you my job post template if you reach out to me. Or if you want to do this on your own, ChatGPT will help you out a lot. And here's some tips to help you with this. So when you create that job post for your customer service VA, include an Easter egg. So what do I mean by Easter egg? You need to include something in your job post that is a random request that this virtual assistant would not expect to be asked about. And this is where this photo of the carabao comes in. So the carabao is the national animal of the Philippines. And so in my job posts in the past, I have mentioned the word, I've asked them to either mention the word carabao, or even better than that, I've asked them to send me a photo of a carabao with their job application. And what that means is we're testing their attention to detail. So I don't put that request inside the next steps section of the job post where I'm asking for their CV and those sort of things. I actually ask it within the main body of the job post, and I say, quick sentence, include an image of a carabao. So it means then I can only look through the applicants who have provided me with a photo of a carabao, because I know they have a good attention to detail and they'll pick out the small things which will come in very, very useful when they're working for us. Also, obvious things in the job post as well. You need to be super clear and specific and structured, and you need to explain all of the expectations that you've got, and make sure that you mention that we're not just hiring for the right skills, but we're also hiring for the right mindset. We want the right type of people. It's a lot easier to teach somebody a skill than it is to teach them a mindset or a personality. So that is the job post section. Now, when you've got the job post put together, we're going to post it to a site called onlinejobs.ph. There are a few options where you can find virtual assistants. So Upwork is one, but I always use onlinejobs.ph for full-time VAs, and it's where I've found incredible VAs. My first VA is still working with me 3 years later, and my second VA, I've had her for actually over 2 years now as well. So these are long-term VAs that I found through this method, and I've also hired tons of other VAs for separate businesses as well, and these are long-term hires that I'm putting in place for companies. So this is the way I do it. So I'll go to onlinejobs.ph and I'll post your job post that we've put together in the previous step. You need to set an hourly rate, and the way that it works with online jobs is that you need to share the monthly rate, not the hourly rate, but you need to have an hourly rate in mind. So for a customer service VA, I'd probably start with $350 or $3 an hour. So have a look on the online jobs website. They give you a going rate idea for these kind of jobs, but I'd expect to start somewhere around that hourly rate for your brand new VA, and then increase their wages over time as they get more loyal to your company. But that's where I'd start. But then you need to share a monthly rate. So I believe I'd have to do the maths, but if you just do the hourly rate and times that by the number of hours in the month, it's somewhere around $588 a month or $520 a month, which in UK pounds is about £450 to £500. So incredibly good value for money. So would definitely post onto online jobs. It's basically a website in the Philippines that Filipinos know is a great place to get online jobs, as the name suggests. So I'd go ahead and use that. And the reason I use VAs from the Philippines is for various reasons, and I've created a YouTube video all about this in the past. But their English is fantastic. They've got a great work ethic and very cheerful and good to work with. So I've always used people from the Philippines for my VAs for my e-commerce store. Okay, on to step 5 then. We now need to shortlist the candidates that have applied for the job. And we're only going to speak to those who follow instructions. So remember the Carabao, the Easter egg? This is where it comes in so helpful, because within 2 to 3 days, you will likely get 150, 200 applications on online jobs for your job. So we need a way to sift through that number of applications. So just look with an overview look, a scan initially, and the only thing you're looking for, nothing else, is just the photo of a Carabao that's been provided. And if they haven't provided the Carabao, we don't look any further. We don't waste time looking at their application, because we would just want to search for the people that have good attention to detail. And then you just click the shortlist option in online jobs for all of the candidates that have provided that Carabao. And then we'll look further at the shortlist to make sure that they've provided the other things that we ask for. So I always ask for an English grammar score. I ask for a voice recording to get an idea if they're spoken English, if they're good at speaking to customers in English. I'll also, obviously, the Carabao, also the CV, and there's a couple of other bits that I'll ask as well on the job post, but it's all to make sure that we know exactly the type of person that we're going to be hiring. Okay, don't waste time. You'll see people inside there, and I remember this all the time looking at shortlist. You'll see people that if you look too hard, you'll realise that they could be a great candidate, but the whole point you've put the Easter egg in is to sift out the people that pay most attention to these job posts, and just be cutthroat with it. If they don't provide the Easter egg, don't move ahead. So then you've got your shortlist in place. Now, once you've got the shortlist, and this should be about 10 people, I'd say, in a shortlist, I would then be sending an example task to them to get an idea of how good they are at the job that we're hiring for. So the way to do this is to create 2 or 3 example customer service queries. So for example, you would act as a customer, and you'll put this all in a message to your shortlist, and you'd say, please answer these 3 queries. The first query is, I'm a customer and I'd like to return. Please look at the returns policy on our website and tell me how you would reply. The next one would be, my product is damaged. It has delivered with damage. And the third one would be, please let me know how long it's going to take to deliver this product. And I'd be looking for them to take initiative to go on the site with the link that you provided with the previous question, for them to find out the delivery times for your store, and really just test how good they're going to be in this role. We're looking for how good they are, obviously spelling, accuracy, their tone is really important when they have an email, and are they friendly to customers, and you'll get an idea of who's the best from that. So then from your example task, you'll then whittle that down to the top 3 or 4 VAs that have done a great job with the example task, and we'll invite those 3 or 4 people to 20-minute, 45 minutes sometimes, depending on the importance of the role, interviews on Google Meet. For a customer service, I'd say 20 minutes is enough, but we're then going to be interviewing them, not just for the skills, so we'll go over, of course, we'll just double check what their skills are, what their previous experience is, but really you want to get a feel for their personality. You want to get a feel for how well you think you would get on with this person, how well they would get on with customers, and that's what we're looking for. As I said before, skills are easy to teach. We can teach them how to fulfill an order in Shopify with an SOP. What we can't do is teach somebody how to turn up cheerful every day. So look for people that are keen to work and have got a good kind of energy around them. So yeah, do these things. Ask about experience. Make sure you're getting a good idea of their attention to detail with some good questions, and ask the same set of questions for all 3 or 4 of your interviews so that they're on a level playing field with each other. When you've done those interviews, we're going to go ahead and offer the job, final step, to the best virtual assistant, and we'll keep the rest warm. So hire the rock star, the one that you've been on that call with, who stood out above the rest, and there will be somebody that's a real great fit for your business. Go ahead and hire number 1, and then keep the backups warm. Tell them that you may look to hire them in the future. If you would, some people on those interviews, you might decide that they would never work for you if they don't meet the standards. But if there are a couple others that were good, keep the backups. So if the first one doesn't work out for whatever reason, you've got a couple to hop onto. So all that work you've gone through, to build that shortlist and then build the top 2 or 3 will not be in vain because you've got those backups kept warm. Then you send the contract and the onboarding info so then they can sign, so they understand the hours and the pay that they're signing for. Simple agreement. Again, if you want a copy of this agreement, just send me a DM on Instagram. More than happy to provide you with the resources that you need. And then that outlines the expectations, so it's very clear. You've got something in writing about how you're going to work with that VA. All right. And then once you've done that, you've got a VA on board. They can go through your onboarding SOPs. They can go through the tasks that you want to outsource very quickly. And just like that, you'll have taken yourself out from the day-to-day business. You can focus on growing the business by increasing the ad spend and looking at the overall vision that you've got for your company. And it'll be an incredible change for your business. I'm excited for you to have the same change that I've had when I've hired virtual assistants for me. So it's all about buying back your time. It's about scaling faster. So it might feel like an investment up front, but the reality is it won't take you long to see a return on your investment. So it's your turn. Go through those 8 steps, hire an awesome VA. Tell me how it's been to work with that VA after following these steps. I'm excited to hear from you. And then DM me VA on Instagram if you want those resources that I've talked about today. Just reach out and ask for the resources. Subscribe if you want and you like more content like this. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.